As we all expected, the NBA's trade deadline this year did not disappoint. We saw a ton of big names find new homes, including a few that I don't think anybody could have expected. So now that the dust has settled on it all, we need to take a deep breath and analyze it. The league looks a lot different now than it did just a few short days ago, and while some teams got a lot better as a result of it, some teams have left us scratching our heads at their decisions, and that brings us to the topic of today's video. Today we'll be going through each of the major trades that went down, and we'll be giving a grade to each team involved in the trades based on how they came away from it. Not every single trade that went down today will be included in this video though, because I do want to focus mostly on the deals involving the biggest names, as opposed to the deals made for role players in fringe moves. Before we start though, I want to thank PrizePicks for sponsoring this video. PrizePicks is the perfect service for all of us basketball fans here because when you're involved, it makes watching games every night so much more fun and engaging. Basically, it's an application that provides you with lines on all kinds of individual player props, such as points, rebounds, assists, and three-pointers made amongst others, and you simply have to choose whether you believe they will record over the set amount in the line or under the set amount in the line. Make your picks, wager however much you want to, and if your picks hit, you can win some big money. For some I'm looking at making for today's slate of games, I'm thinking of going with Desmond Bane to score over 16.5 points, Zaire Williams to grab over 2.5 rebounds, and Klay Thompson to make over 2.5 threes. If this sounds at all intriguing to you, then go use the link down in the description of this video to sign up today and use promo code REFERENCE to receive a 100% deposit match bonus up to $100. Once again, thank you to PrizePicks for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to the topic at hand. The first deal we'll be grading is obviously the biggest deal that went down today between the Nets and the 76ers. In it, the Nets received Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, and 2 first-round picks, and the 76ers received James Harden and Paul Millsap. As for the grades, this one was pretty much a win-win for both sides, where I gave the 76ers an A and the Nets a strong A+. It's still just now settling in that this deal actually happened, but it legitimately does benefit both sides tremendously, which you rarely see from two teams battling it out at the top of the same conference. For the Sixers, they've been dealing with the Ben Simmons drama for months now, and while Morey received a ton of criticism along the way from the masses for holding Ben as long as he did, he proved every single person that doubted him wrong today by acquiring a superstar in James Harden for him. So many people assumed that he should have just taken whatever got offered to him early on for Simmons because patience doesn't exist apparently for most NBA fans, but just as suspected, star players that are unhappy can make teams more desperate around the trade deadline, and all of a sudden Harden fell in their arms. The 76ers' biggest weaknesses without Ben Simmons playing this year have been lack of shot creation outside of Joel Embiid and overall playmaking, as the team doesn't really have many legitimate ball handling guards besides Tyrese Maxey, and no one that really plays with a pass-first style. Inserting someone like James Harden, who is literally the most efficient isolation scorer in the NBA this year according to Synergy Sports on a per-position basis, along with the fact that he ranks second in the league in assists per game, is absolutely a match made in heaven and best-case scenario here. And keep in mind, the Sixers have been able to stay just 2 games back at the top of the Eastern Conference standings with Ben Simmons sitting around doing nothing, so now replace that nothing with someone like James Harden and it's a massive boost. The reason I gave the Nets a slightly better grade though is because they did honestly extract more value out of the situation, and based on what their alternative was, this was as good as they possibly could have done as well. If Harden was destined to leave them in the offseason anyway, they needed to get something in return, and not only did they get an elite defender and passer in Ben Simmons, but they also brought in sharpshooter Seth Curry and rebound machine Andre Drummond to help out their glaring hole at center. Additionally, the draft picks they now have can be used moving forward to potentially make more deals down the line to help round out the rest of their roster for next season. The Nets need to get back fully healthy, but they now have Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving running the show scoring-wise, or at least in road games for Kyrie Irving, and they have Ben Simmons locking down the opposing team's best player, they have Patty Mills and Seth Curry bombing threes, and Andre Drummond's inside reeling in the rebounds and running pick and rolls. Both of these teams got a lot better because of this trade, and it wouldn't surprise me to see them match up in the conference finals now because of it. The next trade we'll be grading is the deal that happened between the Trailblazers and Pelicans, and in this deal the Blazers received Josh Hart, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Tomas Satoransky, Didi Louzada, a first-round pick, and 2 second-round picks, while the Pelicans received CJ McCollum, Larry Nance Jr., and Tony Snell. As for the grades, I have the Pelicans getting a strong A, and the Blazers getting a C-. I made a full video yesterday talking about the Pelicans' future after this move, but basically this is a strong start to right the ship that looked like it was sinking on them earlier this year. There's been plenty of chatter about Zion Williamson not being happy with the direction of the team, and honestly, after they just won one of their first 13 games this season, you could understand why. But now the Pelicans have climbed back to 10th place in the West, good enough for a play-in spot in the tournament at the moment, and CJ McCollum is going to boost their 25th ranked offense a ton as another capable shot creator that scores 20 points a night. Zion is still rehabbing his foot injury, but the assumption now is that he will return to the court eventually, and when that happens, the Pelicans very well may be the most feared lower-seeded team that a top-seeded team in the Western Conference playoffs would have to face. As for the Trailblazers, though, I'm sorry, but I just don't understand why this is the deal that they settled on taking. They claim to be wanting to retool the roster around Damian Lillard, but it feels too late in the game to successfully do that, so a lot of the judgment from this deal is going to have to come from whether or not they successfully opened up cap space to make positive moves that propel themselves, but I'm sorry, but I'm just skeptical that they'll successfully accomplish that, and it seems like a desperate attempt for Damian Lillard and the Blazers to hold on to this partnership together. The next trade we'll be going through and grading today was between the Pacers and the Kings, and in the deal the Pacers received Buddy Hield, Tristan Thompson, and Tyrese Haliburton, and the Kings received Domantas Sabonis, Justin Holiday, Jeremy Lamb, and a second-round pick. The grades here are a strong A for the Pacers and a D for the Kings. This is the deal that I don't think anybody saw coming, and the phrase "King's gonna king" rings true yet again. When you look at this deal, you have to actually look at what it means for each team's set of goals, not just the return in the short term. The Kings are still not close to being a legitimate playoff contender, but they had one of the most promising young point guards in the entire league, locked up for the next 7 years, which is what Tyrese Haliburton was. Since the start of December, Haliburton is putting up 16 points and dishing out 9 assists per game, shooting the ball absurdly efficiently, making 43% of his threes. He's still just 21 years old, and has all of the makings of a future All-Star. By moving him for a more short-term player like Sabonis, who is better right now but doesn't necessarily elevate the ceiling of the Kings that much, if at all, is just a baffling move for a team who still has so much ground to make up. Like, what will the duo of De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis ever really accomplish together as the best players on a team? Maybe they could be the 8th seed at some point, maybe? As for the Pacers, they're shifting towards a full-on rebuild, and bringing in someone like Haliburton to lead that movement is an unbelievable way to kickstart it. Again, Haliburton is just 21 years old, already having a big breakout year, and having your floor general locked up for the foreseeable future makes it a lot easier to build a team to fit his and the team's overall needs. And finally, the last big-name trade we'll be grading today was between the Mavericks and the Wizards, and in it the Mavericks received Spencer Dinwiddie and Davis Bertans, and the Wizards received Kristaps Porzingis and a second-round pick. The grades here are a B for the Wizards, and the lowest grade of the day, a D- for the Mavericks. This isn't a complete disaster for Dallas, but it's pretty damn close. Porzingis at one point was supposed to be the piece that the team was trying to use to find Luka Doncic a legitimate number 2 running mate to compete for a title with. If that wasn't possible, then the second option was supposed to be to find a team to take him and his contract off of their hands to free up cap space. This trade literally does neither of those things. Both Dinwiddie and Bertans have some of the worst contracts in the league right now, and neither of them are playing up to the money that they're earning. Dinwiddie is making $18 million a year for the next 2 years, and Bertans is getting about $16 million in each of the next 3 seasons, so not only do they have bad contracts for the long haul, but no cap space was created for the Mavericks whatsoever. For the Wizards, though, this was a decent attempt to get Bradley Beal some help as they now look to convince him to stay in the offseason. Obviously, it's a similar situation to the one that Porzingis was just in playing alongside Luka Doncic, but he provides a lot more than the combination of Dinwiddie and Bertans do, with both of them having career worst seasons right now. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below how you would grade each of these trades for the teams involved. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.